What's up, y'all? Sparty here. For this video, I want to do solely a sound comparison between the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro and the LG Tone FP9, or Tone U FP9 in certain regions. The main reason I'm doing this is because I don't feel like I went deep. I don't feel like I go in depth enough in my sole review of these to talk in terms of talking about sound, and I want to give people that care about sound more of something to go to if they want to know exactly how both of these fare in terms of my personal library. Again, and I also will give tips on where I feel either these headphones will fare better in other kinds of libraries as well. But my personal library, which is mainly newer underground rap, I guess you could say underground. Is J. Cole really considered underground? He is big, but he's not like gigantic. I don't know, but we'll get into that in a second. So I'm gonna get this out the way here. These have LDAC, these don't. LDAC is not a saving grace of headphones, so stop acting as if it is. Ultimately, it depends on the quality of the audio that you're listening to. If you're listening to high quality FLAC or DSD files, which I tend to do, and which I have stored locally, you're going to get a very good sound out of either of these, and there's very little, if any, difference. Like, ultimately, it comes down to the tuning that either headphone have, and to me, that's more important. And oh, it has LDAC or LHDC or whatever the other one is called. So yeah, let's get into this. If you want bass for bass sake, but clear enough vocals, I would go with Jesus Christ, the Liberty 3 Pro. Um, if you want, this is a very hard thing to just say because I don't want to make it seem as if I hate the Liberty 3 Pro. I really don't. But this is something that's very interesting in terms of how people decided to pit these headphones up against what people like to call the champions, right? Or what those people like to say people are calling the champions anyway. I heard very few people call. I'm not going to get into the XM4s. I'm not. It's these two. It's these two. So both of these are very satisfying with bass, but I think the problem with these is when a song doesn't call for a lot of bass. When a song doesn't call for a lot of bass, they tend to do a little bit too much. So I'll show you guys exactly what I mean here. Land of the Snakes by J. Cole is a track that goes into a kick drum within the first 30 seconds of the track. And it sounds like a kick drum on the FP9. It sounds like a kick drum with a bunch of bass behind it on the Liberty 3 Pro. And changing the LDAC is not going to change that. That ultimately comes down to tuning. I don't like that. I feel like when you put bass in for bass sake, it kind of it kind of makes a song sound a little bit too different. And if a song already has a good amount of bass and you're putting bass behind it, I'm totally fine with it. Like, I'll get into some tracks where I feel it's totally fine. Like, they're definitely down this list already. But yeah. Land of the Snakes is one where I feel is just not. The FN7s definitely, or Jesus Christ, I was just doing a video with the FN7s. The FP9 do a far better job with that. The on Trouble, this is where I feel both are pretty much even-handed when it comes to bass. But this is where I get into my issue when it comes to the Liberty 3 Pro, where I feel like when you have too much bass and too many intricate sounds in a track, you can those those things can get lost behind the bass, especially the vocals. The vocals get lost behind the bass quite a bit when it comes to what the Liberty 3 Pro do. Whereas on here, these have a more vocal forward sound, and I feel like I prefer that because it gives you very satisfying bass while not muddying up. Well, I don't necessarily want to say that the Liberty 3 Pros muddy anything up. I don't think they muddy things up. I think things just get a little bit too lost for my personal taste in the mix. But whereas these just don't have anything to get lost in the mix unless they weren't really intended to be heard that clearly. Like, obviously there are tracks where things are being said or something like that where clearly the bass is supposed to also go above that and make it so you don't hear it all that well. So I'm not going to completely dig on the Liberty 3 Pros for that, but it is indeed something I want to talk about for J. Cole in particular because it's just something I noticed. So Trouble is definitely one where I feel like as good as the bass is on both of these with these, I will definitely prefer the FP9 for that because, like I said, the the bass on both of these, it sounds like his bass is coming out of a literal like cabinet speaker, and it's very nice, but I feel like these are more tasteful in terms of that. She Knows is another one where bass is also something that's very good on here, but both of these do fairly good on here. I would honestly say it's a tie. I don't necessarily have an issue with that. And both of them do a good job with vocals. Vocals on here are definitely crisp, but they're clean. They're definitely nice when you can hear them. So long as you're not listening to a track that has a bunch of bass in it. But both of these, I would honestly just say is a tie. You can go with either or. Chaining Day is another one where the bass isn't like the hugest part of the track, and I feel like this is the track where you can definitely hear the strengths of the Liberty 3 Pro a little bit more. I don't feel the Liberty 3 Pro is that great in terms of things like sound staging and not sound staging, things sounding more open rather. I don't think things sound far more open on the FP9s than they do on the Liberty 3 Pro. And that's obviously because of the spacious tuning that Meridian did with the FP9 where things just sound more open. And it honestly works in the favor of the FP9. Whereas sometimes when something is meant to have this like 3D feel to it, on the Liberty 3 Pro, it'll literally just sound like an echo, and that's pretty much it. Not the biggest deal in the world, but it's just something I want to bring up, and it's something that Chaining Day really does show off. Both do a very good job with giving you the intricate sounds and sounding really good on this track. Ain't That Some Shit is another one where there is a lot of bass and it just sounds very good on both. Really have no issue there. New York Times is one where I honestly feel both of these also do a very good job. As you guys can see here, there are a little bit more ties than there are like non-ties, and this is where I'm getting to the whole. I feel like when these aren't doing too heavy of bass, when they're not giving too much bass, these are doing very good. But when they're giving too much bass, they kind of fall apart. But both of them do a very good job there. Blessings is another one where I feel there is a bass line here that's very present. I feel like these do a little bit too much, and I feel like these are tasteful. Both of them do very good with impact. Vocals are clear on both, but I feel like overall I like how it sounds more on the FP9. And I guess it's also due to the fact that due to these being tuned, these having the Apple tuning kind of deal going on with it, Apple Masters or whatever the hell they call it, it's meant to have a more spacious feel anyway. So that definitely goes to the benefit of the FP9s. Swang is another one by Trey the Truth that I think both of these did a very good job. This definitely has a more bassy feel to it, and both of them just do a good job at that. And you're not really necessarily meant to hear everything that goes on because it's supposed to be a speaker knocking, a car rumbling song, a car thumping song. So that's something that's very nice on both. Really have no issues there. Bad by Wale. This is a song that definitely goes into the favor of the FP9 as well. More intricate sounds, more, like, who is the Tiara Thomas's voice when she's whisper singing in the left of your ear sounds far better on the FP9 than it does on here. And things like that are very good when it comes to having a more spacious sound, where sometimes it can sound a bit closed in on the Liberty 3 Pro. It's not terrible. It's not going from like the XM4 to the or going from the FP9 back to the XM4 where I felt everything was just closed in. It's not that drastic, but it definitely feels a little bit more closed in. Respect is a song where I feel like this is a track that I definitely would say is a good test to see how well a headphone handles bass as well, because it starts with pretty hefty bass, and when when you hear it going over, dude saying, "I know you're bobbing your head, cause I can see you." You could barely hear him say, "I can see you" on either, honestly, but you can hear it a little bit more on the FP9. This is another one where there's bass guitar, smooth, also by the Dog Pound, where there's bass guitar, and the bass guitar sounds like a bass guitar on here, where it sounds like guitar on here with more hefty bass. And it's not a deal breaker on this song, honestly, for me personally, but in terms of, say, more accurately reproducing the sound, these just do better, and also just while also being satisfying with it. So both of them, not necessarily a big deal, but honestly, it was just something that I did want to bring up. For the Love of Money by Dr. Dre, this is a song. This is a song where when I initially got the Liberty 3 Pros and I compared them to these, the the FP9s blew them out the water for me. Like, this song is the perfect mix of spacious sound, heavy bass, like forward vocals, like it works in the FP9's favor far more. And this is where I feel the Liberty 3 Pros just fall apart a little bit more. Another song that I just didn't like how it sounded on these headphones was no, not that. This was Let Nas Down. I forgot to put that in my playlist because how Apple makes playlists work is kind of weird. But oh, not what I meant to do. Did it go in there? Yeah, it went in there. Let me move it up with the other J. Cole songs. But when I heard this on both of these, there was just too much bass. Like, Let Nas Down is not a song that's meant to have like this speaker thumping bass, and that's what the Liberty 3 Pros gave me. And I just really wasn't satisfied with it. Where I feel like the Liberty 3 Pros definitely do shine, though, I'm going to go to YouTube Music here. I'll pick some tracks out of here that I felt like they did very well with. High Salas by Lupe Fiasco is a very good one. Sun God Sam and the California Drug Deals, another one that's really nice on these headphones, on these earbuds. Manila, another one that I feel is very nice. The Learning, another track with very good bass. These would work well. But even though Ballad of the Bass is also a very good bass track, I don't like how these sound on the Liberty 3 Pro. The vocals, Big Crit's vocals just get drowned out a little bit too much for me, and I don't like that. Already touched on the Dog Pound. Trey the Truth. Woke Up This Morning is another good one. Get You Some by Busta Rhymes is another good one, as well as In the Ghetto, another good one. Um, Am I a Psycho? He's a Mental Giant. I haven't messed with Fuck Food yet. The Watcher. I haven't messed with 2001 on these yet, which is kind of a sin, and I need to do that. But yeah, um, trying to see here what else. I need to test these songs on here too. I, t- I tested Hideaway. I thought it sounded good. Applause is another one I need to test. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do that for my comparisons to the XM4. But overall, I'm not saying that headphones like the Liberty 3 Pro are terrible. They're not. But for how I like to listen to my music, again, it's highly subjective. And I'm saying for a lot of my library, I do like how these sound. It's just I don't think they're the best. Like I don't personally, they're not my favorite. And obviously I'll be biased with that, but I'm not you know I'm not unwilling to admit when something sounds better. Like I feel like for when I got these and had these got replaced. Like so it's like I'm not sitting here saying that one is drastically superior than the other in a lot of ways, but for like objectively, but in my personal opinion, it is. And the Tone FP9s just haven't been dethroned. But that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys feel about this. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday, whatever time of day is in the area. Like the video if you like it. Share with anyone that's interested in this sort of content, and have a good one.